Hey everybody, it's your buddy Beard Grizzly, and tonight I just wanted to make something real quick to just talk with you guys for a little while. It's been over a week now since I've made any content once again, and I kind of feel bad for that. So in the way that I do, I just want to make something and connect with you guys again. I know this isn't going to be as high quality as typical, but quite frankly, it's just me needing to talk, needing to get my feelings out there, which is just as important as any creator should want to do to realistically connect with their community or otherwise. It's just me going on a thought string and kind of just rolling with it. So in that respect, you could call it rambling all you want to, but I've still got some points that I want to talk about, and one of the largest ones comes down to some stuff that's been happening on the internet related to Destiny, and one big one, of course, comes down to the leak information that we have, and I wanted to talk about why I'm not going to be covering that too much. It kind of goes twofold. But first off, I wanted to at least say I've gotten my PC version done for my Warlock, so at least I've got that out of the way for the Legendary Armor for Solstice. I still have to do it on PS4, but that'll be a little bit of time, and I'm breaking it up over the course of the week so I don't burn myself out over the course of like 1 or 2 days here, just to make sure that it's all done. Really, spacing of time has obviously been my problem, especially when it comes down to creating content or otherwise. But it has been nice because I've been able to actually record a bunch of the adventures again, and I still have plans to make a series based on the adventures. I think it'll be a good way to just at least bring them up, talk about them in full, and see them more like per world and just break them down as we go along. There are still some mysteries that are left in, at least a few of them, or I would probably say about 50% of them. So I've still got a few more that I need to record, but because of what the armor has allowed me to do and the need to go back and play through some of the adventures, I've actually found myself doing more of them than I expected just to level up. So that was pretty cool. And I have been working on another project as well, but there's a lot of other checks and balances that have been actually going into this project, and additionally me trying to feel that I'm ready to really produce and come out with it. And it's all based on information, which largely kind of ties back to what I wanted to talk about today, which again leads back to these leaks that are being brought to us. Now, first off, there are no spoilers here. I'm not going to talk about anything that was actually brought up in them because, well, I didn't actually read the leaks. I wanted to keep a lot of it to myself, and my channel has actually been, or my Discord I should say, has actually been very good about keeping some of it there just to say, this is major spoiler territory, even though this is the spoiler chat. So I appreciate you guys over on Discord not really inundating us with a lot of heavy information with that stuff. But one of the main reasons I really don't want to cover leaks effectively comes down to the idea of muddying the waters. We all of a sudden get something that is brought to us from what Forsaken is going to release, and it could be a piece of information that changes the outlook of everything, which is supposedly what's going on with some of this new information we have. And it could be something that is either fan-made, or there could be something else that's there that we can't really figure out. The source for this information was apparently never really said, and we never really had any full place that we could go back and check to really cross-reference what was actually being told to us by this Reddit poster. So that's my biggest thing. And this isn't like new for any game. Forsaken as a whole is definitely not new, or it's not new territory for the game or the expansion. This is something we have almost every new expansion that pops up, or every new game. And of course, opening it up to the PC market really does open up the possibility of data miners being able to get into the title and start to really peruse through and see some stuff that they probably shouldn't see. Apparently, that's actually what got this Reddit poster and data miner in a bit of trouble. Bungie was nice about it and just kindly told him to stop data mining, stop trying to find this information out and stop posting it, but what he had done, the damage has already been done, and we're not sure what Bungie means by that. It could be that they're trying to keep the sanctity of what they're trying to produce and put out into the game with Forsaken as being open or being there for everybody to experience for the first time. Or it could be something more where all of a sudden they have to change something, or they have to alter something, or he's finding this information and yes, it is there, but it's like pre-done information, if that makes any sense. I'm thinking back to what had happened actually with Mylan Games, because he had his Prestige, or his hard mode raid gear video that he had brought out, and some of it dealt with the fallen side of what Callus was working with. And apparently that ended up getting pulled at last minute, and it got changed and altered around from what we were expecting to see. Now, obviously, we got all of that information eventually, but it was in the wrong order. It wasn't exactly as Bungie had intended. Now, one of the side notes on that angle, though, is that that was actually released in the API, but it was still ahead of the actual release. And there's a difference when it comes down to information that is mined in terms of picking it up just from like, oh, I'm going into the code and I'm going to get a text file and then put it into a .rar and everybody has to seep through everything that I post, versus having it in the API and having everything actually named, if that makes sense. Would probably be better if I painted the picture a little differently. Say, for instance, you have something with the API. Look at Ishtar Collective, for instance. IshtarCollective.net actually has it where you'll get an image that's related back to the item or the grimoire card that you're trying to reference, and then it'll have the text that's listed there. There's also means that the API and the website that they have is smart enough to then also catalog any changes that may occur within these items and within these changes. And that helps when you're trying to cross-reference what might have been and what now is, and it is now in fact what you expect to see within the game, or what they decided to alter. Now take it from the alternate perspective. Take it from the idea of a data miner who has to go through a lot of bits and pieces, a lot of different angles, and a lot of different items that they then have to sort through and so on. You're not exactly sure where all of the pieces line up. That's one of the problems when it comes down to like taking lore or anything like that, especially, and throwing them into an item that seems like it does connect with it when all of a sudden it actually doesn't, because of the way that the code is actually set up or altered. It could be as simple as the lore tab itself, or the lore entry, is going to be in a completely separate thing other than the armor that this stuff was supposedly linked to. But all the same, it is stuff that is in wrong order. So after I'm done, of course, painting these pictures, and I start to think about this a little further in my mind, I'm like, well, why wouldn't I be more open to bringing that? And that comes down to how they want to tell this story. And for me, that's another reason I don't want to cover leaks, and in a lot of grounds. Like, if it doesn't hit the API in a lot of ways, where it's like getting close to full official release and it's like it's stuck in there, that's where I would probably say like it's okay to cover it, with the exception of what happened with Mylan Games, like I mentioned before, because Matt kind of got screwed over on that one, unfortunately. But now all of a sudden I have this information that is out of context. There are implications that can be made from some of the data that I could pick up on, but I haven't experienced the main story that Bungie is trying to tell, and all of a sudden I go into this story with this stuff in mind, and that paints my overall experience in a completely different realm, or different light. And that's why I like to go into things a little bit more blind, if you will, or I like the idea of having some of this information being held sacred. And it just doesn't feel like that is the case anymore. So I guess I could sum up this entire rant, which honestly I just feel good about talking about at this point, to just say that I'm not really comfortable with talking about leaks, because I want Bungie to tell their story the way that they want to. I want any game developer to tell the story in the order and fashion that they want to, because I know that that is something that, as somebody that has written stories in the past, short form or long form as I have, I don't want to see that stuff be in any way transfigured or changed from my intended purpose. Somebody will, of course, interpret it differently, and that's, of course, what the whole point of theory crafting and ideas and spin foiling and so on is all about, but that is just the stuff that I want to be able to experience the first time, and not have these bits and pieces in the back of my head change how it is that I perceive what it is that's going on with a story. And as storytelling kind of goes by and it changes and alters and so on, this seems like it's something that, again, just seems to be kind of left to the side. All these ideas of spoilers and just tell me what the story is ahead of time so that I know if I want to buy the game or not. Now the idea is no longer about experiencing the thing that you're looking into. It's more just let me read it and be done with it. And that's, I guess for some, that's fine. Like if you... It's the same rationale, I suppose, as pirating a game or not wanting to or a movie or another book or something else, just any kind of media, realistically. Even then, I know there's multiple viewpoints behind this, and I'm curious what your guys is as well, just to see maybe in the future that I need to change my mind on how this stuff is perceived, or how it is that I look into leaked information versus what you think about it. For me, it'll of course put me ahead in terms of like what might be out there and I can cover it, but in the possibility that I'm wrong and I present information to you guys and all of a sudden it is wrong. Then I get somebody on the internet that goes, well, you said this. And I'm like, yeah, but did you see the next video where I clarify and say that this information is wrong? Now I'm just muddying the waters. Now there's just information that's missed in a lot of rights, or it can confuse and serve to just be problematic more than it is me getting ahead of everything. And regardless of how I may spin it, regardless if I say that it's a news story, regardless of however else it might be, I don't feel comfortable with that. That's a personal thing more than it is anything else. But anyway, I will stop this rant here and now, and I hope that you guys got something out of it, or at least my perspective on why it is that I don't cover leaks. I know my thoughts are kind of all over the place here at the moment, and I don't have any structure in front of me, but for me, this is something that's been on my mind today, and I really just wanted to talk about it a little bit with you guys. So, as usual, let me know what you guys think down below, and you know the other buttons to press if you guys like this little commentary bit of mine, which I don't do often, and I might change, I don't know. We'll see. In either case, to Guardians and non-Guardians alike, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next Space Time. Take care.